Hey, welcome to the Two Savage Democrats podcast, episode 157. Brian?
What's up, guys? So today we're going to do something a little different, a little special. We're going to have a debate. So that'll be something new. We've done them before on this channel, and it was just kind of a spur of the moment thing. Literally, I made a post maybe an hour ago, and we got someone who might have some comics or others, and we'll go through it and kind of, give a little debate, a little discussion, see where it goes, see if you guys enjoy it. Everything in the description that you need to know. Like the video, subscribe, and let me know if you guys enjoy the debates, if you will try to do more.
Give me 1 sec here.
So,
I'm almost ready.
okay. Well, if the person, I'm not sure your name, but is it Bob? Or is that just the Instagram?
That's my Instagram name. So yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want to give a little bit about yourself? Introduce yourself.
I'm just a normal teenager, and I'm really interested in politics, and I try to get both sides of the argument in most cases, and yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So, do we got everything running? All the technical stuff up and going?
Almost. Gotta get the thing up. Give me 1 second. Sorry about a little delay.
Well, a few topics we might hit on: income inequality, the minimum wage, or a few, maybe education in terms of college, other, obviously high school, stuff like that, Common Core we could talk about. So a lot of different stuff, maybe some social justice stuff as well if we want a little break from economics. We'll see where it goes. We'll keep an eye on what you guys are saying in the chat, live chat, if you want to talk to us. We'll take, your guys' suggestions.
All right, I am ready to begin. So what, Bob? Yeah. Can I just call you, is your name Xavier?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, we'll just go with that. I'll call you. Okay, so anyway, what topic do you disagree with Donald Trump on the most? Let's start with that. All right, let's go straight into this. What topic do you disagree with him the most on, and why?
Okay, Donald Trump the most on. What do I disagree with him the most with?
It's hard to think of something when he's so awesome, right?
How about we start with the economics of it? What's something he does economically or that he believes that you might disagree with? I know we are kind of discussing this a little bit in the DMs in terms of what we could discuss on. Do you want to kind of go into that?
Yeah, okay. Well, obviously, Donald Trump, one thing was one of the earlier issues in his campaign was about, like he didn't want to release his tax information, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I bet his view on that was kind of like, he thinks it's his business and that kind of stuff. And like the problem that leftists have with taxes in general is basically that, like, like they think like if rich people are not paying taxes and that kind of stuff, and it's kind of unfair because, like, especially if poor people are going to be paying taxes, their problem is that, like, it's just not fair because, like, they're losing more money, especially, and they're also making less money. So
what do you think Trump would have gained by releasing his taxes? Like, he won the presidency without doing it. They don't really need that information, and the only thing it would have done was cause the liberals to just go into mayhem and search through it with a fine-tooth comb. What was the point?
And they did, and nothing. And when
yeah,
they
even
release
Rachel
it, there was
Maddow got
nothing.
that bull crap. Like, I found Donald Trump's tax returns, and then it came was like paid more taxes than Obama and Bernie ever have in their entire life. Like,
there was nothing there.
Yeah, no, but like, what's the point of him releasing his current tax returns? It's just going to be a huge mess, and the media is just going to. There would be. It's like Russia. There's nothing there with Russia, and look at the media freaking out. Huh?
A nothing burger.
It is a complete nothing burger, but I just don't understand like what releasing his tax. Huh?
I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, I think the liberals who are what's called, advocating for that, I mean, I think they give liberals a bad name in general, but I think the reason is just for, I don't know, I think it's just for transparency in general, because transparency in general, that's it.
Well, he was under an audit.
Yeah, well, he's under audit, number one. Number two, why would releasing his tax returns make it more transparent? Like, Obama released his,
And
and he was one of the most untransparent administrations in history.
And he did release them, and there was nothing there,
Yeah.
so it seems pretty transparent to me.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, he didn't have to. Obviously, citizens don't like. We can't just force him to do stuff like that, right? And it's his choice. But I just think like, yeah, it is cleared up, and I think that's a good thing.
If anything, I think it just discredits because they're like, oh, what's he hiding? What's he hiding? Hillary Clinton. I don't even know the name of the vice president off the top of my head because he's so irrelevant. Tim Kaine, yeah, that guy. They're all like, oh, his tax returns, he hasn't released it. And then he releases it, and they all look stupid. So I don't know. I felt like
tax returns really have no like implications to how he's going to do as president. So is that your biggest issue with Trump? Do you have any other issues with Trump, or is it just that?
That's one of the smaller issues, but give me a second to recall what I disagreed with him before with, okay?
Yeah. Well, do you agree with him on, do you like what he's doing with Syria? Are you in favor of
with Syria? Okay, well, wait, isn't it true that he just what's called, has he done like a nuclear response to Syria?
Has he done a nuclear? He's not done.
He's just shot tomahawks.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure if he's had a nuclear response to Syria, we'd know about it.
We would have heard.
Yeah. Well, I just think that what's called like, I just think that, like before he was in his campaign, he was accusing Obama of like being too rough on Syria with the intervention. And in my opinion, I just think that what's called like as he's a nationalist, right? So I just think he should just like focus on our own problems in our own nations. And if they find any evidence for any real threat like coming from Syria, then maybe we can take
something like kind of
gassing
his own people. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
What happened.
I mean, like he used chemical weapons on his own people. He's lied about it. He's basically a dictator.
Okay, well,
he's not a very good guy.
Don't you think America has done bad things to their own people too?
Well, yeah, but I don't think
elected Democrats. We started the welfare system.
We've never gassed
Common Core.
People, though.
Okay.
The closest thing you have to a dictator.
The worst thing we've done recently was capture a bunch of Japanese citizens, and that was under Roosevelt, who's a Democrat, and nobody supported that.
Yeah, and Roosevelt was the closest thing we had to a dictator. He served 3 terms.
No, 4, dude.
Oh, 4, yeah. Or he was going for 4, I don't remember, but yeah.
He died in his 4th.
Okay, well, I just think the reason is that like in lots of wars, like occasion like they kill sometimes they kill civilians and that kind of stuff. So I think like just because I think it is good to do intervention in cases like if the country is doing something really wrong. So you might have to intervene, but I just don't really think it's America's job to just go into Syria.
Well, was it our job in World War II?
The issue is that you have, so Donald Trump was like a newly elected president at that point, right? This is his first chance. Obama had drawn the red line in the sand saying, if Syria gasses their own people, we are going to retaliate. Netanyahu stood there agreeing with him. And then he doesn't do anything. And so now Donald Trump had to send a message to the rest of the world saying we are no longer going to be pussyfooting around these issues. If a country starts acting aggressively and poses any kind of threat to the United States, this is what we will do to you. And he showed that by bombing Syria.
Oh yeah, so you're saying he did bomb Syria, right? Just to get the facts straight.
He bombed an air base in Syria. He didn't like bomb Syria. Like it wasn't
It wasn't a nuclear bomb. Yeah, it was tomahawks.
So like when I first heard that, I thought the problem was that this isn't specifically what's called a leftist argument that I'm making right now, but I thought the problem was that he was bombing he wasn't bombing ISIS in Syria, and people were suspecting that it was actually ISIS doing the chemical attacks. So he was actually bombing the airbase fighting Syria.
No, because the chemical attacks came from a plane.
Yeah,
they came from the witness. They had witness report. It was a Syrian plane that dropped the chemical weapons on its citizens. ISIS doesn't have that, so ISIS couldn't have been responsible. It had to have been Assad.
Exactly.
As military.
Okay, well,
Unless ISIS somehow got a hold of their planes, and learned how to fly them and learned how
yeah.
to launch their chemical weapons that we know they had.
Yeah, they
I
definitely
didn't.
had the chemical weapons. It's been proven that they've had them. So it's like to
They've
assume
done
that
it
they
before.
didn't use them. Like, what other group in the area had them? No other group in the area had them. So it's like they would have used them.
Even if
Okay,
ISIS did have chemical weapons, they don't have planes that they're flying around dropping it on people.
I didn't know that it came from a plane, but okay, well, that changed my opinion a bit.
That's who
But
bombed the airbase.
I still think I don't know, like I don't think like one country has specific authority to like intervene.
Well, okay,
Why?
no, the reason you intervene, so there's sometimes there's a moral obligation to intervene in a situation. I'm not arguing that that was a moral obligation to intervene in the situation. Like I said, I think Trump did that to show the world, look, we have a new leader. We're not going to put up with this anymore. If you do stuff like this, we will retaliate. I think that was him kind of showing power abroad. But sometimes there is definitely a moral obligation to retaliate in some certain situations, even if we haven't been directly attacked.
Like we should have responded to what Hitler was doing in Europe way before Pearl Harbor.
Mm-hmm. Oh
We
yeah,
should have
absolutely.
done that. And it
Yeah.
would have objectively saved lives.
Yeah, and I think it still would have been favorable before Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, I do too. Well, I don't know if the people would have, but it would have been the right decision regardless.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah. I think I got my words wrong, but I actually do agree. Like in some cases, I do think there is a moral obligation in some cases, but I just think that yeah.
I don't know. I think it was totally justified given what he did to people. You can't gas your citizens when they start acting up and you need to regain control. So I don't see any real issue with it, especially if you don't want ISIS to get their hands on those weapons.
Okay, well, what if someone were to make a comparison, like to police brutality to gassing the citizens?
Wait, to what? Police brutality? You're literally comparing police brutality to gassing your own citizens.
I'm not. I'm just wondering what you say to that.
I would
Well,
say
the
that that's
thing
fucking
is,
retarded because that's not a thing.
That's not even as close. Like, you can't take a cherry-picked example of a cop abusing his power on someone who probably broke the law, gassing families for no reason other than you want power. Like when police are policing, they're not doing it because Trump wants to show he's powerful. He's not flexing his muscle. He's doing it because they probably broke the law. Maybe a cop was in the wrong. Maybe he wasn't. It's totally different. You have someone gassing his own people because they're getting upset with them. It's totally different situations. If Trump was having the police like bang down people's doors and flashbang them because they were protesting, then yeah, you can make a comparison. But like that's not what's happening. He's not targeting specific citizens to make himself more powerful like Assad is.
Yeah,
Okay.
Assad is
And on
definitely
top of
like
that, the citizens when they went to the hospital, I was just gonna say when the citizens went to a hospital to get treated, Assad then bombed that hospital. So like, I don't know. It doesn't really seem comparable to me.
Okay, I think that might have been a bad comparison.
that was a terrible comparison. See if you can come up with a better one.
Do you want to get into? I know we talked about income equality and the minimum wage earlier. Do you want to discuss that?
Okay. Yeah. Sure. So what are your opinions on that?
I think income inequality is amazing, and I hate the idea of raising the minimum wage.
Income
I
inequality
think I
is
love
objectively
inequality.
what motivates people to do better.
Okay. Well,
Inequality is that's why we have evolution, is because of inequality.
Actually, there's objectively a new study came out that said that 75% of Americans also agree that income inequality is the greatest motivator for them to find success.
okay. So
Objectively,
I do agree with that.
Objectively.
I do agree that that's objective. But the thing about income inequality with me is that I think people should at least have equal starting points at the beginning of their life, in the beginning of their life, not like. But I don't believe in welfare later in their life.
Wait a minute.
stat.
Wait, you believe
have a
in
stat
welfare
for
for
you.
young people, but not for old people?
No, I mean just welfare that can what's called like balance out the displacements in the beginnings of their lives, because you
But
don't
there are
choose.
people who have been. So let's look at. I know this is anecdotal, but let's look at Ben Carson for
I have
example.
some.
Grew up in inner city Detroit.
I have actual stats too, if
Okay,
you'd like.
go ahead. Are these objective stats or?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I got it in my book here. I'm pulling up. Go ahead and keep going.
Okay, well, I was just going to say, like, here's an example of, like, I feel like this, so there is income inequality and then there's real income inequality, right? The income inequality in America isn't as bad as the liberals will make you believe it is. And the reason is because you have so much opportunity in this country that you don't have anywhere else in the world. If you were to try to go to Cuba or North Korea or China or anywhere else with this sort of, and they have massive income inequality in these countries. If you were to go there or any big government country, you wouldn't be able to succeed, right? You've got those opportunities in the United States. So it doesn't matter where you start off in life. That has a little bit of an impact. But if you work hard enough, you educate yourself and you apply yourself, you can succeed in this country. That's one of the great things about this country. So when you talk about income inequality and say that there needs to be welfare and things like that, it's just, I don't. It's not. It's not.
I have a little preview for my book. If I could read that when you're done.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so this is the quote I have here. This is from Bernie Sanders, and I'll get into it. It's somewhat similar to what you're saying. He says, "There's something profoundly wrong with the top 0.1% owns almost as much as the bottom 90%."
Okay.
So basic.
Okay. I don't have a problem like specifically with income inequality, but what I think is that basically like do you think like governments have any obligation to do anything about poverty at all?
The government, the best thing the government can do, the best thing the government can do to eliminate poverty is to literally get out of the way. Let the free market handle itself. When go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
I have a study by Thomas Herschel of Cornell University and Mark Rank of Washington University. Here's what their data pulled. By the age of 60, 70% of the population will experience at least 1 year within the top 20% of income. 53% of the population will have experienced at least 1 year in the top 10th% of income. And 11.1% of the entire population will have themselves in the top 1% at least 1 year of their life. So it seems pretty fluid to me.
You know how you know that income inequality isn't that bad in this country? If you look at the richest people in this country, they're ordinary citizens that started businesses and made a lot of money. It's not the people in the government. It's not the president. Our president is rich right now, but he's not anywhere near the top in terms of being wealthy. And he made his money outside of government, right? You can get rich in government, but you'll get nowhere near as rich as you can living within the free market, starting a business and expanding that business. So it's just like, I mean, if you look at, again, like look at Soviet Union. This is a perfect example.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to wait for Brian to stop. Okay. The Soviet Union is a perfect example. If you look back there were like the serfs and then the rich people, and that was it. There was no middle class because the government completely annihilated the middle class because all the money went straight up to the people.
Markets, but
all the money went straight up to the people in power, and nobody had money in the lower class. They're all starving to death. So, I mean, but you look at this system, we've got the poorest person in this country has more opportunity and more money than the richest person in Africa, right? It's just like, it's insane.
Yeah,
so
and the economic class in the United States is incredibly fluid.
Liberals try to make income inequality look like this is the biggest issue on the planet, right? It's just, oh my gosh, how could we possibly be okay with living in a country where there's a poor person? It's just like any system, you're going to have a poor person. I'd much rather have opportunity than have some government communist system where there's zero opportunity and only the rich or only the people in power make money.
Also,
okay,
I think like what I was getting to there and what Dylan was getting to is you have the here, and like the stats I brought up earlier from the study, most people, overwhelming majority of people are at least the top 20% of wage earners, which is very high in a country like the United States because we have a very high median household income. So that's actually pretty impressive. So a lot of people move up and down through the economic classes. It's not stagnant. So if you're born poor, you're not doomed to poverty.
Okay, yeah,
not at all. Absolutely not at all. I mean, it's been proven objectively. There's a study that just came out. It was run by ABC News. This new study that just came out showed that 95% of poor people admit that they could escape from poverty if they wanted to work hard enough, that they don't feel like it, and that they don't have the motivation to do it.
Well, you're saying that what's called, that, liberals are the ones saying this stuff, right? But aren't liberals the ones who, like, the idea of a free market? Isn't that a liberal idea?
It's a classical liberal idea. It's not a new liberal idea where the Liberal Party is so far to the left that you could fucking.
It's not 1775 anymore.
Yeah. No, it's just, the problem is that this the people always use that argument. It's like, oh, it's a liberal idea. The liberals now have become big government, right? They are the party of the big government. They're essentially socialists at this point. That's what they have to do. That's why you saw so many Democrats, so many blue collar Democrats come over and vote for Donald Trump, because this party has moved.
I have an objective study too.
Okay, one sec. So many liberals have moved so far left to try to appeal to this new base, this millennial base. They don't understand anything. It's like you walk up to try to have a conversation with them. They're in some trance. They think that it's just they don't want a conversation with you. They are violent. They throw things. They don't understand really what they're supporting, and that's where the Democrat Party is going. If you saw their platform, they just released this whole big platform in Virginia. That's exactly what they were talking about, is growing the size of government, moving their party more left, while you've got these blue-collar Democrats who are now moving over to the Republican side because they feel that the Republicans are...
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I have this objective study from NYU, and they actually polled registered Democrats. 86.73% of all registered Democrats said they would be okay with socialism.
That's insane. Yeah, and it's just like, and you can't...
I
can't believe that happened. I actually saw another poll. Dude, this, I think it was, where's yours? NYU. Mine was from, I think it was Arizona State.
Okay. I think mine actually mentioned something about Arizona State, so same thing.
Yeah, no, but dude, it was insane. Literally, it said that 55...
Did he go somewhere?
I don't know. Did he leave? He fucking left.
Let's see if he rejoins.
Dude, he took a fat L.
We're going hard objectively. There we go.
You back?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so there's this from Arizona. The study showed that 65% of Bernie Sanders supporters couldn't even tell the difference between Joseph Stalin's policies and Bernie Sanders' policies. I mean, it's pathetic.
Yeah, I think that's pathetic.
I mean, have you seen that study?
I haven't seen it.
It's insane.
What do you think about when Bernie Sanders made this comment? I don't know if you saw it. It was, at least at one point, I know it was all over Instagram. I want to say it was like on NBC News where they played it. But basically, he was asked, like, what do you model your policies off? Or what, like, who inspired your policies? He mentioned Mao, Lenin, Castro, Stalin. Did you see that, the interview?
No, I didn't.
Did you hear about it?
Is it objectively?
Objectively, yeah. He said, like, that was... You saw that, didn't you?
I did. I think I remember seeing that, yeah.
Did you hear about that? Or maybe you saw something about it on Instagram? It was all over, man. It was being memed hard.
Yeah.
I think I've seen something about that, but I don't agree with that. I think that's crazy that he would actually come out saying that he bases policies off that himself. Like,
well, even if you haven't heard that, I mean, just think about it. The goal, like Vladimir Lenin said, the goal of socialism is communism. Bernie Sanders comes out, I want a socialist country. The goal of socialism is communism. Obviously, he gets his. I mean, you have to support Lenin. You have to support Mao. You have to support Stalin. If you support socialism, because the end goal of socialism is communism.
You know what Kim Jong-un said about the election, right? Or at least what was released? He actually wanted Bernie to win.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, objectively. I forgot. They released it on, like, their state news. Did you hear about that?
I did hear about that.
What about you? You did?
No.
Oh, okay. You want to talk about the minimum wage?
Sure. Yeah.
How high should the minimum wage be?
You know what? With the minimum wage, I I mean, do you think it's just in general benefit to raise it?
No.
No, I think it's harmful.
Benefit for who? The only people that can afford it when you raise the minimum wage are big companies like Walmart, Target, Matt Kroger.
Just out of curiosity,
Doesn't it benefit
do you
those
support?
employees?
No, because they lose their job. If their productivity doesn't justify that minimum wage, then they lose their job. How high do you think the minimum wage should be? I'm curious.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, I actually do understand what's called the economics of why they lose their jobs because, like, like some businesses won't be able to handle it, right? Because, like, they won't have enough money to, like, do that. But, I mean, if the government can do anything, what's called to raise the minimum wage while like keeping
how high do you
keeping
think
the
it should
demand.
be? Do you think it should be $10, $15, $12? What do you think it should be? $9?
I
Like,
don't
just
know.
give me a ballpark. How high should it go?
Okay, wait. To give you something, just tell me what it is right now.
Well, right now it's $7.25. That's a federal minimum wage. What do you think it should be right now? Or about like $1 more, $2 more, $5 more, $10 more?
I don't really know what's called.
What's that?
Okay, I'll just say I'll just put something out there. I'll say $1 more. I don't know.
$1 more.
So $8.25.
What the hell? That's like one drink at a gas station.
Why not $50 an hour? What happened if you made $50 an hour?
You never see economists or any economists with any standing coming out and advocating for a minimum wage increase. You see idiots coming out, but none with any standing. Look,
what would happen if you raised the minimum wage to $50? What would happen?
Small businesses would go out of business. You destroy the economy. The only people that would be able to afford it are big businesses.
I don't even think they would afford that.
Okay, do you think there's
Go ahead.
Do you think there's some kind of way of combining government incentives for businesses and what's called raising the minimum wage to what's called like balance out the effects of that
Well, the thing
have,
if you like knock their taxes off or you gave them tax breaks, that's going to help the company. But if you raise the minimum wage, it's going to hurt the workers because they're not going to be able to get a job.
Here's the problem is let's say that Brian opens a store. Okay. Brian opens like Brian's ice cream shop.
A sex store.
He opens a sex store. So he's got a sex store. He sells sex toys, right? He's wanted to do this his whole life. He finally opens a sex store. He's barely getting by, right? Then you got some Obama cuck in office who's like, we're going to put all these regulations. And so he's sitting there like, crap, I can't afford these regulations. He's like, and I can't get everything done around the store. So I'm going to hire 2 employees. I have budgeted it all out. I can afford to pay these employees $7 an hour. So he hires the employees. Obama comes out later. Look, the minimum wage is now going to be, insert arbitrary amount of money that has no economic, stability at all. So he insert the amount of money. Brian's freaking out. He's like, I can't afford this. I've got the regulations to pay for. I've got the taxes to pay. Go ahead. Long story short, the employees get fired and then the unemployment rate goes up. It's a downward spiral. Look at the history of increasing the minimum wage. Look at the states that have increased it already. Look at Seattle. It's a mess.
Okay, yeah, I just think they haven't gone about doing it right. But I have a question.
You go about doing it right. It doesn't work. You go about doing it right by getting rid of the minimum wage altogether. It's arbitrary and pointless. You should be paid based on effectiveness and not just given.
I agree with that.
If you're not an effective person, then you failed in life.
So you would just take it away altogether? You wouldn't lower it by any specific amount?
I would take it away, yes. Because if a company doesn't pay their employees jack squat, they're not going to stay in business. No one's going to work for them.
Yeah, I obviously.
Are you aware of this study done by UCLA?
I think I actually am aware of that study.
Okay, yeah, that study's really good. But basically, they just plugged in a whole bunch of numbers. They did some vector calculus, which was really tough to follow, and they used a lot of differential equations. But essentially what they got to is if you didn't have a minimum wage, workers would earn 300% more than they do now. That's objective.
So why do I say that? Is that because they're saying that people would become more productive, or they have more incentive to get higher paying jobs, or why are they saying that is?
Well, basically, are you familiar with terrestrial calculus?
No.
Okay, it's basically a way of projecting where things are going, and they have to use the Diffie equations to do that. So they plug it in, they get their unit circle out, they find where sine of theta is, then they're able to project the income that would be given to the workers from there based off of their equation. And they took that and they compared it with what they're making now. It was actually 300% higher.
Well, in that case, I mean, obviously, the people who are advocating for minimum wage, I mean, to raise the minimum wage, obviously want the workers to get paid more, and if that's true, and it would go up by a higher percent, I'm sure some of them would, because they're getting paid more anyways, if it's going up by 300%.
Yeah. So I definitely think I don't think raising the minimum wage would be very good. I think it would cost a lot of jobs. I think you would see businesses not doing as well, and I think it would hurt young people a lot too, because young people are the ones who rely on they're the ones who make up the minimum wage. It's people. A lot of them are young people that make up the minimum wage earners.
So what about people with really low qualifications? So
Then
do you think?
they should probably.
Hello?
Hello?
Where's Brian? He's muted. What did you?
Or
Oh, go ahead, Brian. You were
intern.
muted.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
No, you start building up your credentials in like middle school. You start maybe getting a little job here or there. You start making a little extra money. You do some internship.
I guess that's what they should have done before. But like, what about people who we have now who don't have any credentials? Should they just not get paid
then
anything because you don't want to win a minimum
well,
wage, or what?
you're not entitled to a job. Like if you
I
suck at
don't
your
think you're.
job, you're not entitled.
Yeah, the thing is you should be. I don't understand this whole mentality that people are entitled to a job. If you're not effective, then you shouldn't. If a boss fires you because you're not effective, that's because you're not effective.
Yeah, and I do think it's obvious the business is obviously the boss's property, so I don't think people have any authority to say like what they should do. But I think the reason that people are doing this in general is because they just want people to like to not be in poverty in general.
Let me ask you this. Is it fair for a company to pay somebody based on their effectiveness, or should they pay a general wage regardless of how effective that employee is?
No, I think the first thing that you said,
You what?
the first thing that
So
you
you
said,
agree that a company should be able to choose what amount they want to pay somebody based on their effectiveness?
yeah, that's completely fair.
So
I
then,
think
so
so.
that's literally aren't advocating for a minimum wage with that argument. I'm saying that we can get rid of the minimum wage altogether.
Do you guys want to also talk on maybe policy and immigration?
Well, hold on, wait. So if you agree that companies should be able to pay people based on their effectiveness, and that would mean that the more effective you are, the more money you make, right?
Yeah.
So couldn't you naturally get a minimum wage increase by just being more effective at your job?
Yeah, but that also has to do with it has to do with effectiveness. But people without the skill sets already, when it'll be a problem for them, won't it?
Wait, what'd you say?
People who have lower skill sets already, like obviously, like they can't really be more productive with like a lower skill set, if you get what I mean.
Why don't they get a better skill set when they have the chance?
Why
I
don't they
mean,
work a little harder? Why don't they
Yeah,
get
that's the
certified
thing.
in something easier? You can literally go to like a community college and like pay a couple $100 to be certified in something that
Yeah, you
makes
can go to a trade school. There's
$20
so
an
many
hour.
different ways to expand your skill set.
I
so
also
basically,
wanted.
what you guys are saying is basically,
I was
so
just gonna say
basically,
at some point. Go ahead.
so basically, what we're disagreeing about now is basically like whose responsibility it is, right? You're basically saying it's not the government. ability, to like, or the businesses to give you any money. It's really their choice, and they basically only do it off of like, to
You
make
agreed
profits,
with
right?
that. You agreed with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you
I,
concede?
okay. Yeah. I was just trying to see what we established. Okay.
I also want to make sure we talk about the Argentina Civil War at some point,
Oh yeah, I want to
because
get into the
that has been an
Argentinian Civil
argument.
War of 1812. Yeah.
Because I think that's what happens if you have open borders,
Yeah,
objectively.
no, dude. What happens is, because if you remember, the Jorge Wajino and the Brotherhood of Steel stormed the capital city of Argentina in 1812, and it was a
Are
mess.
you familiar with the Argentinian War? Like, you've read about it in school, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've read about it in like a school. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't miss it. Yeah. So do you want to explain kind of the situation that went down, Dylan?
Yeah, so essentially what happened is there were two sides fighting, right? You have the the NCR, right? And then you've got the Brotherhood of Steel. And the Brotherhood of Steel was run by Jorge Wajino, who was the first president of Argentina at the time. Okay. Argentinian Civil War of 1812. Now in 1812, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. In 1812, the NCR decided that they wanted to hold this property. It was eventually, they had this place called the Huaver Dam, and there were two sides, right? The Brotherhood of Steel was holding one side, and the NCR was holding the other side, and they were fighting for control over it. And it was a huge deal. Jorge Wajino ended up being very heroic. There's a famous picture of him crossing a river, and he's like at the front. It's amazing. It's an awesome picture. They're on this boat. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really great. I don't look well. There was a lot of power with the river because you can use the dam to generate energy. So it was like a key moment in that bloody battle.
Yeah.
There's always that movie I think they play it in like every high school. I forget what it's called. But have you seen that movie where they're like fighting through the jungle?
Dude, do you remember? Dude, they had the
There's a lot of casinos there. It's pretty crazy.
They had the Bottoms. Yeah, the Bottoms Casino. It was very famous.
Well, yeah. And
Go ahead. You're trying to use it as an example. So are you trying to use it as an example for like, why we shouldn't have as open borders?
Yeah, exactly. Because what happened was if they would have built a wall around the Legion, then they never would have got through.
Yeah, Cuiser's Legion.
He was brutal. He was also one of those dictators that would just
Dude,
he would slaughter people.
He had this legate. His name was Lanius. He was a bitch.
Yeah, he was. Well, and the thing is, like, Jorge, the first president of Argentina, he was actually a mailman.
Oh, you can't forget. You can't forget about Homás Jefe de Zone.
Oh, dude, that was such a sick story.
Yeah.
This kid cried when they talked about that in my class.
Dude, I
have you heard about that?
Respect Homás Jefe de Zone so much, Doug.
Have you heard that story before?
I think so, yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. Did you have kids crying in your class too?
Because I don't know if it was crying.
Oh, they were in my class. I'm like, okay, that's a little extreme, but whatever. No, it was really sick. Just that final showdown, and ultimately, we all know how that ended.
Yeah, but do you think what's called but do you think really like that could really happen to America? Don't you think like there are other factors that happen like in Argentina itself that what's called could have made it more possible for that to happen in the first place?
Wait, what are you talking about?
Well, you could, but you also had, like, for example, the stick stamps, which were a huge influence in what happened in Argentina, and we've seen that happen also in Spain.
Okay.
But no, it's a sick story. I would recommend sometime checking out, like, Google the battle at that dam. It was sick, dude.
Yeah.
It was sick.
Don't forget to look up about Bueno Springs too.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Bueno Springs.
Does it have anything to do with Bluff Cove? I'm just Googling it right now.
What does it have to do with?
Bluff
Black
Cove?
Code? I don't know what you're Googling, but no. No, it's a really interesting story.
Okay.
Is there anything else also you wanted to hit on while you were Googling it?
Um. Um. Okay. Wait, I'm gonna go back to what's called the text messages. See what else I was talking about.
Also, I kind of want to talk about other stuff as well, like maybe
Why don't we?
what
Why
happened
don't we?
after.
Why don't we end the show here? It seems like it's been a pretty good debate.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Catch you guys next time. Bye bye.